Yo, what's up guys, welcome back to another video, and this is another basketball reaction, and this video is leading kind of off the against all odds videos that I've reacted to for the last 2 days. Yeah, I posted one the day before and then one yesterday. And basically, so the title that I'm doing, the title of this video is From Linsanity to Nobody, What Happened to Jeremy Lin? There were a few suggestions saying react to the Linsanity story, but I wasn't too sure what sort of videos to find. I'm not sure if this is the correct one because some people were just saying kind of like no stories really do it justice. I'm not too sure what to expect other than the fact that like his story was like his come up was sort of out of nowhere kind of thing. And I'm intrigued to see like what actually happened to him because I've not really seen anything to do with his career. I just sort of saw what happened and how he got to the stage of being an NBA player. But yo, this is something that interests me quite a lot. And from your suggestions, it's clearly an interesting sort of subject. But yo, I'm interested to see. Let's just get into it. And yo, this is weird. I've been having this debate in my head. This has nothing to do with basketball. Everyone is shaving their head. Literally everyone is shaving their head. And like, I'm so bored. And because there's no hairdressers for probably the next 10 weeks, maybe longer, I might just shave my hair off. I don't know yet. I might just do a little a poll. Don't even know why I'm saying this because you guys are gonna just say you could do it just for the meme. But I'm gonna do a poll, and I'll probably just determine whether I do it or not on that. I'll probably look awful, but you know what? I'm bored as hell. I need a haircut, and it could just be a little funny thing to do. So if I do remember to put a poll, vote in it. And obviously I know what you're gonna vote. Yes, cut your hair. But yeah, I'm just thinking. You know what? Let's just do something to sort of brighten the mood a bit. Yo, let's get back into this and see what this is about.
What's up guys, Mike here, and we are back with a story that I am so excited to bring you. The rise and fall of Linsanity. Now, you probably know the story of Linsanity, when Jeremy Lin came from absolutely nowhere and became a star for the New York Knicks for a brief period of time. But you might not know the story leading up to Linsanity and what happened after. So that's what we're going to be looking at today. I hope you enjoy the video, and let's get started.
Also, if you guys want any of so I'm doing this for Jeremy Lin, who was one of the guys in the top 10 video. If you want me to do another one of these too, one of the other players that was involved, just suggest the video and I'll be down to do it 100% because them stories were crazy.
I want to start this video off by getting the elephant out of the room right now. Because when talking about Jeremy Lin's basketball journey, it's impossible not to mention one thing: his race. As we all know, Jeremy Lin is an Asian basketball player playing in a league that, according to a study done in 2015, is made up of 74.4% of black men, 23.3% of white men, 1.8% of Latino men, and only 0.2% of Asian men. It's because of these stats that Jeremy Lin has spent his entire life facing a challenge that was completely unfair and out of his control. Call it cultural bias, call it bigotry, I'll go ahead and call it flat out racism, because from the second he stepped foot on a basketball court, Jeremy Lin was always overlooked because he was Asian. This is extremely important to remember.
I get this a lot, obviously, with soccer. The issue is usually, it's basically, in England a lot, it's like in that grassroots level, which is basically people like playing from like 6 years old to 18 years old, not playing professionally, sort of like working their way up. There's a lot of stories to do with racism to, like, basically minorities, like racial minorities in the country. And I guess this is just another case of it. And it's interesting to see that in all sports, whether it be like, again, whether it be at the highest level or the lowest level, when you're young, when you're older, there's always these levels of racism, and it sucks to see. Hopefully we'll see it eradicated soon. But obviously this isn't just an issue of basketball. This is an issue of, I guess, people in general, not even just sports, just people in general.
Because if he had actually been given a fair chance, the rise of Linsanity in New York might never have happened. The reason for this is that throughout his basketball career headed into the NBA, Jeremy Lin had already proven time and time again that he was one of the best players in his age group. If he was black or white, he most likely would have played for a top college basketball team and would have been drafted. But again, Jeremy Lin is Asian, which meant that scouts seemingly made it their mission to discredit all of his accomplishments on the court. In high school, Lin transformed the public school school of Palo Alto into a briefly elite program. By the time his senior year came around, Lin was one of California's best players, and it showed on the court. Through a combination of leadership and incredible talent, Jeremy led his team to a 31-1 record and all the way to the state finals. It was there that his team would face off against national powerhouse Mater Dei, a school that had 8 players who would end up playing major Division I basketball.
Wow.
And guys, I do want to say thank you to SeatGeek for sponsoring.
Shout out to the sponsor, but I'm going to skip this just for the video.
Teachers and even his friends. $20 off your first order. Guys, trust me, I use this
Make
app.
money
It is
though, bro.
awesome, and
Fair
$20
enough.
off your first order, pretty solid deal. All week, reporters, teachers, and even his friends were asking Jeremy how could they possibly beat Mater Dei. Eventually, Lin got fed up and said, man, just come to the game and watch. And watch they did, as Jeremy somehow led Palo Alto to one of the greatest upsets in California history. Yes, he would score 17 points, connected on a huge three-pointer at the end of the game, and led his team to a state championship victory. But despite this team success, and despite the fact that he was also named first team All-State in California, Jeremy Lin was not offered a scholarship offer by a single Division I.
That is wild. Wait, he was ranked #1 in California, Northern Division Player of the That's mental. How you can be that in any state? Like, because California is the second most populated state in the US, I'm pretty sure. How you can be Player of the Year in that and not even? Oh, that is wild.
By a single Division I program. Again, race had to be in play here. Lin had easily proven that he was a major Division I prospect, but no one seemed to care. Jeremy himself would later say,
yeah, I've always said if I was black, I would have gotten a D1 scholarship, but that's my personal opinion.
But he didn't. So Jeremy Lin, all-state player with a 4.2 GPA, was luckily given the opportunity to play for Harvard. There, he again demonstrated his obvious talent, most notably when he dropped 30 points on Kemba Walker and the UConn Huskies on a national stage, but he would go undrafted, and so he set out to do what he always did, prove everyone around him wrong. Playing for the Dallas Mavericks Summer League team, Jeremy knew he would need to play out of his mind to get the attention of NBA.
I love it, man. He's using it as motivation. I love it.
Entire NBA watching him against the #1 pick John Wall, Lin would score several baskets while showcasing a variety of moves. And because he wasn't scared, because he continued to take it at Wall time and time again, he managed to turn heads and got a contract offer from the Golden State Warriors, making him the first Chinese or Taiwanese American to ever play in the NBA, which was...
I remember them saying he's an American-born Chinese player or person. But that's wild. He was the first... Wait, let's hear that again.
Got a contract offer from the Golden State Warriors, making him the first Chinese or Taiwanese American to ever play in the NBA.
Bro, so obviously that means because he was American born, because there's obviously been Chinese players in the past playing in the NBA. But that's crazy. When you think of like how cultural and like how diverse the NBA is, that's mental. Like to see, would that have been in like 2008, around that sort of time? That's crazy.
Which was a great story at the time, but almost as soon as the season started, Lin appeared overmatched. He would average just 1.9 points and 0.9 assists in 17 games, and so the Warriors sent him to the D-League and eventually would release him from the team. From there, Jeremy was given a second chance with the Houston Rockets, but that was the worst fit imaginable. With 6 point guards on the roster, Jeremy was not given the opportunity he felt he deserved and was cut on Christmas Day. Again, luckily, the New York Knicks saw some kind of promise in him and took a chance and signed him off the waivers. But in Jeremy's mind, this didn't feel like a blessing, it felt more like a last chance. He himself admits he was completely rattled. He had already been cut from 2 teams that said they wanted him, and if he got cut by the Knicks, it was likely he wasn't going to get another chance.
So this is literally
Still though, he believed in his game,
everything was riding on this,
I'm gonna give my best effort, and you know, if I go down, I'm gonna make sure I go down doing it my way.
As you probably guessed though, from his past history, things were not going to be easy for Jeremy. For one thing, unsure of his future, he decided not to rent a place to stay and eventually would wind up sleeping on teammate Landry Fields' couch. The reason for this was that yes, the Knicks had signed him, but they didn't really believe in him. As Mike D'Antoni would later say,
and not really get in even in practice. He was just there in case one of these guys got hurt.
But D'Antoni did see something in this young guard and told him that he was going to give him a chance. If Jeremy did not produce though, it was clear he was on the way out. Enter the New York Knicks versus the New Jersey Nets. This was Jeremy's chance. He needed to make plays. He needed to put up stats or he was going to be cut. This was a ton of pressure, but when he entered the game that day, his agent Robert Montgomery remembers thinking,
he didn't look tentative. He didn't look overly concerned. He looked like, dude, I'm about to go do it. They cut me. They cut me.
And playing with this do-or-die attitude,
was riding
playing
this
for
man.
his NBA
The
career,
pressure.
Jeremy Lin went off. At the start of the second quarter, he took a handoff and drove hard to the rim for a layup. Immediately, on the other end, he stole the ball and hit Tony Douglas with a nice pass, and from there, the rise of Linsanity began. Finally, he was playing his game. Finally, he was playing the way
this is making
he
me so happy.
could. He would finish this game against the Nets with career highs of 25 points and 7 assists.
Wow.
With Marv Albert calling him an...
So he was averaging what? Like before this hand up, from what he said, 1.9. I'm guessing it was a bit higher because obviously he was a bit older at this point. So let's just say he was averaging like 4 points, 3 points a game. He's just got 25 points. Like what?
Immediate fan favorite, to which Clyde Frazier replied,
That is
but
crazy.
will it be remembered? It would be, but in the moment, this one game alone was special. Lin remembers crying tears of joy in the shower, and for now, he knew he was safe from being cut, but he also knew he had to keep going. The next game against the Jazz would mark the first time Jeremy had ever started an NBA game. It would also be the game that Melo would get injured in, and suddenly, the Knicks had lost the focal point of their offense. And so, riding the hot hand, Mike D'Antoni decided to call pick and roll after pick and roll for Jeremy Lin, and Jeremy continued to shock everyone. A complete unknown to almost the entire league, Lin torched Utah for 28 points and 8 assists, and the hype began to grow. This hype would reach a seemingly all-time high 2 games later against the Lakers. Headed into this game, Kobe was asked if he was surprised about Lin's production, to which he replied,
"Are you surprised at the production that Lin's had over the past week?"
I don't even know what he's done.
God.
What you guys are talking about.
Jeremy was shocked when he heard these comments, but instead of getting mad, he decided to get even. His mindset was that in the Garden against the Lakers, he was going to be as aggressive as possible. And on this night, he would have the game of his life. He knocked down jumpers, he drove to the lane and made seemingly impossible...
I'm trust me, I'm listening, but was that a no-look pass?
Game of his life. He knocked down jumpers. He drove to the lane and made seemingly impossible layups. He set his teammates up for easy baskets. Just watching him, it was clear he could not be stopped. By the time the game was over, Jeremy had dropped 38 points on the Lakers, and suddenly everyone took notice. Stephen A. Smith put it best by saying, "I have never seen anything like this. I've never seen somebody go from a no-name to an absolute phenomenon inside of 2 weeks."
Oh, that is crazy. He's literally gone from not starting a game in his career. He's rarely probably went over 10 points in the game. I don't know if he ever has done before this point that it even happened. And now he's done he's just doing these numbers. It's what the hell? It just goes to show how important self-belief is, I guess. But I'm guessing Like from Linsanity to nobody, does he like just fall off again? Like, I'm intrigued to see what happens from here on.
It's unbelievable. That's right. At this point, everyone in America knew Jeremy Lin's name, and he did not shy away from the spotlight. This was his moment, and he continued to deliver. Every game, he seemingly hit big shots and put up big numbers. He even would be given the ball with the game on the line against the Raptors, and after ISOing, he connected on his first game-winning shot in the NBA. By the end of this season, Jeremy Lin was at an all-time high. He had proven he belonged in the NBA. He was famous, and most importantly for him, he had become an inspiration to Asian Americans and
that must be like really like,
because if this
for him personally, especially as the first player in the sport to be an American Asian. Yo, that must feel good to be like an inspiration to that many people, because I know there's a lot of American Asians in the US, so that must have been a big sort of achievement for him.
The unknown who did not receive a scholarship offer, who didn't get drafted, who got cut from 2 NBA teams could become a star on the New York Knicks? Well, then anything seemed possible. Still though, the race card always seemed to follow him. An ESPN editor would use the title in the armor when describing some of Lin's struggles.
Oh my.
A fan brought aside.
That is bloody hell. God, that is wild. How are you going to say that?
With Jeremy in a fortune cookie that said the Knicks good
fortune.
Floyd Mayweather tweeted out, Jeremy Lin is a good player, but all the hype is because he's Asian. Black players do what he does every night and don't get the same praise, which was just untrue. No other NBA player before Jeremy Lin had had this kind of rise in this fast of a time, but whatever. What I'm saying here is that even in his greatest moments in the NBA, Jeremy was reminded time and time again, hey, you are Asian and you're playing very high-level basketball. That's not supposed to happen, which to me is sickening, and I hope our country learns something from this. I hope if a similar situation happens again, we do not react that way. And unfortunately, at the time, the off-court problems did not just
the US, everywhere
racism for Jeremy, because as quickly as it had come, Linsanity came to an end. At the height of Jeremy Lin's popularity, it seemed impossible that the Knicks would choose not to re-sign him. But then everything seemed to turn against him. It all started when the Knicks star Carmelo Anthony, who publicly stated that he loved what Jeremy Lin was doing, privately complained about the attention that Jeremy was getting and made it clear to the front office that he did not want Jeremy on the roster. He also did not want Mike D'Antoni as his coach, and so D'Antoni was fired. This meant that the man who had given Jeremy Lin the keys to the Knicks offense was no longer there, and when you add Jeremy's end-of-season knee injury into the mix, suddenly the Knicks had an excuse not to re-sign Jeremy Lin and instead give in to what Melo wanted. And so when the Houston Rockets offered Jeremy a contract, New York let him leave despite the fact that he was a restricted
He's going back to the Rockets.
Could have matched. This begins the point in the story where Jeremy Lin would again begin to struggle. When signing with Houston, he expected to be the leader of the team's offense. That's when he's most effective. He's not a great spot-up shooter off the ball. He's best when he's running the pick and roll and is able to make plays. But then the Rockets made a huge move and stole James Harden from the Thunder, and suddenly Jeremy found himself out of his element as he mainly played off ball when Harden was on the court. This led to an average first season in Houston, and things would get worse in year 2, as Patrick Beverley thrived as an off-ball guard while Lin continued to struggle. Because of this, the Rockets felt that Jeremy was expandable, and so they traded him to the Lakers, where he would hit an all-time low. In LA, Jeremy began the year as the team's starting point guard, but was benched after 20 games. It was clear that Byron Scott's offense and Jeremy Lin's games were simply a horrible match. And the worst would come on January 23rd, when against the Spurs, Byron Scott flat out decided not to play Jeremy Lin at all. Lin recalls this was the low point for sure, and also said, it just felt like I went full circle. The last time I got a straight up DNP was that first month I got signed 3 years ago. And then all of a sudden I'm a starter, and then a bunch of things happen, and 3 years down the road, it's like I'm back at square one. And I'd love to say that this video is going to end on a happy note, but I can't. Because after the Lakers, Jeremy signed with the Brooklyn Nets, and finally, with the ball in his hands, he thrived, playing the way he knew he could.
Wait, so... Oh, I thought you said it wasn't going to end on a happy note.
In 2017, Lin averaged 21.3 points, 7.5 assists, and 5.5 rebounds per 36 minutes. It was obvious that he was back and that he was only going to get better, but then the basketball gods again proved that life is not fair. Because just when things were finally looking up, Jeremy Lin was hit with a string of injuries. He would play in only 36 games in 2017, and then in the very first game of the 2018 season, he landed hard on his right knee and ruptured his patella tendon. He would not play in another game in 2018. His season was over before it had even started. Which brings us to now. After missing all of last year with injury, Lin has remained hopeful and said that he's going to be ready for training camp this season. But he won't be playing for the Nets because the Hawks traded for him, which is probably for the best. In my opinion, Jeremy needs a fresh start, and maybe away from the bright lights of Manhattan, Los Angeles, and Brooklyn, he can work on finding his game again and fulfill his full potential. I have faith that he's gonna have a great
he's been
season
so
next year,
unlucky,
and
man.
So does he. As in recent tweets, he said, "Find joy in your journey. Don't settle." And fear of failure is one of the biggest limitations of success. Don't let it be yours. Hashtag dream big. So Jeremy, I'm pulling for you, and that wraps up today's video, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. If you're new to the channel, make
Class
sure to
video again, man. Michael Zimmer's pulled another one out of the bag. This was an insane video, but talk about insane, man. Linsanity. This story was so, like, has so many ups and downs. I feel so bad for him. That was like, because he's from a child, like being in basketball, he was always like overlooked, and people say it's race. I'm not gonna get into that. I guess it was to do with like some sort of racism, but I don't want to talk about like sort of the down stuff. But like I said, down stuff like the sort of the political stuff. But still, he's been up and down since a kid, and it just doesn't get like he got back to the peak, and then he went back down, and then he started finding his form again, and it's just all back to square one once again. It's just like, bro, you can't win. It's such an unfortunate story. But this was a really good video, man. And I hope he's thriving now. Actually, I'm gonna search him now, Jeremy Lin. I want to see if he's still playing, because obviously this video was a few years ago. Beijing Ducks. So he's playing in. Wait, so he's playing in China now. That must be the case, mustn't it? Wait, Beijing Bucks. Oh wow. Fair enough. So he's obviously went on from the NBA. Maybe it just didn't work out there as well. But yo, this is a crazy story, man. But it's one of those ones that you sort of learn and you appreciate, like how hard it is to be a professional athlete in the NBA. Because I mean, you're fighting all these things. You're not just like mentally, but physically, your body's just like struggling in all these times. But man, it was a cool video. I really enjoyed it. And if there's more, like I said earlier in the video, like from the video that I done yesterday, because that's how I got this suggestion. If there's any other of those stories that have like a deeper sort of video on just that story, please let me know, man, because I'd love to see them, because there are some sort of, they are some sort of like just like inspirational things to see as a person, not even just like as a young aspiring player, but even just for someone like me who's just learning the sport. It's inspiring to see, man. But hopefully you guys enjoyed. Until next time, like, subscribe.